What's up, world?
I just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They
Insert here.
Yo.
It's a terrible game. Bottom line. It's terrible in every way. Graphically, it's terrible. Gameplay is terrible. It's just terrible.
Angry Nick mad.
That game sucked, and it's gonna suck no matter how many revisions they make, and it just sucked even more because they put a Kinect with it.
Angry Nick mad. Or if there's violence, I'll just laugh and enjoy the fun.
Kaz Hazari.
Kaz Harai.
They just kind of got tired of Angry Nick on the first one and say, I'm going to pass.
Oh, yeah, so I do. Precisely.
No.
I
No.
do all my work.
No.
And
You guys are
unfortunately,
so
I don't.
cute.
Oh, thank you. I try.
I mean, let's face it, Mario and to a lesser extent Zelda is what carries Nintendo at this point.
Always be radical.
I love you, little podcast. You're the bestest thing ever. For the promise of a new Super Smash Bros. And the Zelda game, yes.
You will not find a better story presented in any other game genre, in my personal opinion. Like, JRPGs have that. They have that story.
That's what the entire game felt like. Oh my god, I want to bang my head into a wall.
It's a podcast again? Can someone remind me? I thought it was a video game podcast.
You're listening to the Game Source Podcast.
And hello, everybody. This is Gerald, better known as Yes, Elvis Lives. And today is for Game Source podcast number 120. And today, it's another beautiful day in paradise. And I have with us today the man, the myth, the legend himself, Aaron, aka OSU Water Polo. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good.
And, well, I was trying to see if we could get this also simultaneously on stream, but it looks like I'm going to have to do that for another day. Somebody may actually have the Twitch app occupied, which is a good thing. If you want to check us out, it is the Game_Source Twitch channel that is available. And I know myself, obviously you, Aaron, Chris, Corey, we all stream a ton of games on there for you guys to check out. I noticed with a tendency towards Heroes of the Storm and, of course, League of Legends. And
I'm now streaming this on Twitch.
Okay, fair enough. It is Game Source Podcast 120. And I just wanted to say hello, everyone. League of Legends we will get to because there's a little bit of a wildfire as far as something that came up in the past 24 hours in regards to a little bit of controversy there. But the most important thing on the docket today is Konami, the tenuous situation in regards to Konami. Yesterday, they delisted themselves off the New York Stock Exchange, and almost hand in hand, they actually, what they did was they also discontinued the project with, the project known as Silent Hills, which was coming with a collaboration from the creators of the Metal Gear series, Kojima himself, along with noted director Guillermo del Toro. So with that, unfortunately, demise of that game that a lot of people were actually looking forward to, also as well, the actual stock itself being delisted off the New York Stock Exchange. Aaron, tell me your thoughts on all that's going on, including the fact that the PT playable demo that's being taken down.
I think it's already down.
No, I thought it was the 29th. I believe it's the 29th.
No.
It's the last day. So for all you PlayStation users out there, if you haven't had a chance to check out the playable teaser, which was supposed to have been the playable teaser for Silent Hills, that will be taken down by the end of the 29th. So you better get to it. It's actually a lot of fun, and if you're into a little bit of a scare, it left your appetite wanting a little bit more, but unfortunately that won't be the case. So Aaron, tell me your thoughts on the impending Konami quandary, as it were. So
Well, my problem is Konami isn't just a video game company. They also do a lot of casino work out here.
That's true. They have an offices about 2-3 miles away from here. So
yeah. I mean, it's like half a mile from the airport. I mean, you can see the airport towers from it. So it's really downtown. But and I mean, I've looked into working for them, and the video game side of the company is microscopic compared to the casino side. So,
and they're very diversified in the Far East as far as a lot of other products.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, looking into their portfolio, the video game portion of Konami is next to nothing compared to the rest of it. So, I don't think any of the decisions were made together. They were probably just two separate decisions that happened to happen on the same day. And, people are going into, oh my God, Konami's going to close down mode. And that's just not true. It's just that they no longer feel they need the public support of being on Wall Street, where anybody can buy into them at any time and things like that. And I think they just want to get things closer to the vest in who owns them so that they have a little more control over the company. And it makes quite a bit of sense for a company that isn't growing the way they had expected to do something like that, because sometimes you've got too many stockholders to please, and it just doesn't go anywhere because you're trying to please everyone except your consumer.
That's true, and I know most of their shares, they're still actively traded on the European and Far East stock markets, and I know they're still quite actively traded there because, as you and I both stated, that they have a little bit more vested interest in those markets as opposed to here. They still have a decent gaming as far as from the gambling machines, as far as for poker machines, gambling machines, things of that nature, especially like you said, out here, Branson, Missouri, Reno, and the like. They still have a lot of their machines in place here, but as far as the video game portion is concerned, a lot of restructuring seems to be in the offering once the Metal Gear Phantom Pain #5 is actually going to not actually it is going to see the light of day, but Kojima and his staff will not see the light of day pretty much after that. They're going to be actually moving on to other ventures. I know Kojima has stated that he is actually going to be out as well, which seems to be very sad as far as the separation. Now, the Metal Gear saga most likely will continue in some aspect or another, but as far as the over-the-top Kojima-style action-oriented games of the Metal Gear past, once Metal Gear 5 has been released, the changes I'm sure will be made in that series. But as far as Konami games as a whole in the future, remains to be seen. It's very tenuous because Silent Hills was one of their cornerstone projects that they were the fans were looking forward to, because the Silent Hill series for so long had been really since the 90s, Aaron, with really any fruitful or promising titles in the series. There's just been one mediocre title after mediocre title.
There's no way that horror cannot be done on the current generations. Every horror game that has come out has been so-so, and yeah, it has sales, but the game itself is fairly average and not very scary. And I think they kind of realize that you can't scare people the way you could in the old generations, because the technology is just too advanced, and yeah, so much of horror is in on the other genres now too. I mean, there's moments and everything where you jump, but
the playable teaser was a big success. Downloaded hundreds of thousands of times. it has really, really, for the most part, garnered quite an interest for it. And for a lot of people have said that they did find the playable teaser scary and entertaining, but that is a short, small taste of what a Silent Hills game could have been like. So I can see it from that aspect. We've seen with the Alien game from last year and some others, that Daylight that we got a preview last year and whatnot with Chris and Corey, as well. Those titles were in bits and pieces, had its jumps and its scares, but couldn't seem to be able to fit everything together as far as a complete and interesting horror game. And even the Evil Within is less of a horror game and more of an action game, with some supernatural elements, which it does entertain and does keep the player interested, but not from a horror standpoint. So I can see it, I can see what you're saying in regards to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a wall-to-wall horror game with maybe, an Eye of the Hurricane in the middle where things calm down for a second. But it's not going to be the horror game from start to finish the way it was before. You've got to tie it in either, with another genre or two, especially with everybody being zombie fans anymore. To satisfy everybody, you have to water the product down. To keep the product the way you want it, you're going to hit so small a market that it's not worth making, to the scale that they would need to make it to be a quality Silent Hill game. And I think they kind of realized that after seeing the sales from some of the pseudo-horror games that have come out in the last couple of months.
That's true, and I know if any Resident Evil games, Resident Evil games will come out in the future. Obviously, people will still always be, trying to go to the original Resident Evil. Obviously, trying to harken back to Resident Evil 4, the hallmarks of the series, because 5 and unfortunately 6 have not met expectations. So anything down the road for that series as well, because it's similar to what Silent Hills was trying to get to accomplish as well. Those series, for the most part, have to lean on another type of genre, like you said, like action and whatnot, because the horror genre itself, gamers have seen scares now for quite some time, and it's really, really hard to sustain that suspense and those scare tactics throughout an entire 10, 12, 14-hour game.
Exactly.
So like Konami is we'll see. It's very tenuous right now. Hopefully we'll have more before E3 or during E3 about what Konami's future, what holds as far as from a gaming standpoint. But yeah, it's kind of concerning indeed. You don't want to see them to go the way of THQ and some other entities in the recent past that have met their demise because of poor decision making, over budgeted games that didn't meet expectations, and we've seen it before as gamers and as observers of the industry that those kind of things can happen. But games that are not in trouble at the present time. Is I know Nick's favorite, the Call of Duty. Well, actually, his Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row. But one of his favorite series is the Call of Duty series, and they just announced, well, it actually leaked all over the internet first, but Black Ops 3 actually was introduced to the public as far as a full teaser trailer. Get your pre-order now. All the pre-order bonuses, that's already all over the Amazons, GameStops, and Walmarts of the world. My question to you, with Call of Duty Black Ops 3, is there really anything original that they can bring to the table with the game itself? I saw the trailer. It's Call of Duty. They just made refinements from small ones that seemingly looks very similar, though, however, to last year's Advanced Warfare. Just really seems to me just more Call of Duty, which is, for right now, a lot of people still want. Even back when, several years ago when you and I were manning the stores and whatnot, Call of Duty was going upwards. But people,
and now it's not. It's going down now.
but not as fast as people thought. People thought it would drop.
Well, it's going a lot faster than most people would have predicted. I mean, people thought Call of Duty was going to be the game of the decade. Every year winning absolutely everything, and Grand Theft Auto's outsold it. There are plenty of other games that are making a lot more money. Yeah, Minecraft. So many more games are making so much more money than Call of Duty did. And people are realizing that Call of Duty is 96% the same game every year, and they just take the best parts of the last 3, put them in that, try 1 or 2 new things. If those things catch on, carry it over to the next one. If they don't, kick them to the curb. And I think people are looking for like 80% the same game and give 7 or 8 new things every time. Try things out that way. The online play of it, because I mean, any game when it gets popular starts out with teens and college age students playing the game, and then once it gets super popular, the kids start to get in on it. The 12-year-olds, the 6 and 8-year-olds sometimes, and the community has gone from, I mean, it was never a great community to start with. It was always a bad community because that's just the type of gamer that game is going to grab. But now you've got the kids who the video game system is the babysitter now. And I mean, they're on there, and the community is just absolutely toxic. And that's what's killing the game, is that it's no longer fun to play for most people. I mean, sure, it's a decent game, but if you're not having fun, you're not going to buy the next one. You might play the crap out of the one you've got because your money is already spent, but you're not going to go and get hyped for the next one because the community is just going to continually get worse and worse and worse because they don't have very good controls of how to monitor their own community, whereas a lot of PC games have, in the last 5 years, have started, if you get reported too many times, you go into a jerk pool to play. You don't play with everybody else. So all the toxicity centers around the people who are toxic, and the people who are a little more laid back get to play with people who are more like them, even in the ranked or even just the casual play. The people who are bad get kicked out, and consoles have had a horrible time of keeping up with that. And I think that's really one of the factors that is affecting Call of Duty.
And there's, they're going to have their work cut out for them this year because Halo 5 Guardians is going to be out right before Call of Duty Black Ops 3 comes out, and also Star Wars Battlefront, which was also introduced to the public last weekend as well. Actually, last week as well. That's going to be a big time game as well, as far as the sales, the market and interest, obviously tying into the Star Wars movie coming out in December itself. I'm impressed by the visuals of what I saw in Star Wars Battlefront, but I'm kind of concerned because there's only a limited number of planets, and also as well, the name is Star Wars, and there's no space battles or campaign, which would have been 2 hallmarks of the series. I understand that in interviews, DICE has stated that they want to get it closer to the Battlefront series as it started off so many years ago. Which did not include a campaign or a space battles of kind. But I think expectations of gamers are something more. I've seen a lot of feedback in that regard of what they wanted to. I'm kind of concerned from the aspect that they're going to do the Destiny thing, just add planets that you have to pay for continuously over the course of time. The DLC, obviously, thing is getting it, in my opinion, way out of hand. But I also see EA actually, now probably in secret, obviously, of course, constructing a Star Wars game that does provide what a lot of the fans are looking for, and that is space battles and a campaign. Your thoughts?
I don't know.
Because I know Amy Henning She was the probably one of the most important people behind the Uncharted series. She left Naughty Dog, and the place she picked up on was Electronic Arts. And one of the reasons why, as far as it's concerned, was to be a part of the Star Wars series. So she could be creating those campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is fairly well known for being, at the very least, decent. Not everything is going to be, as good as the original trilogy, but everything is decent. Gamers, talk to any developer who's been in it for 20 years, gamers don't know what they want. They say they want XYZ, and they put XYZ into the game exactly like the gamers want it. And gamers are like, oh god, this is terrible. Why did we ever want this? And yeah, they want the space battles and things that they've seen, but I could see EA doing two separate series. One with the classic Battlefront that, from the original, and without the campaign, more of the open world type thing, and then going with a second one where they have the space battles and the campaign and things like that, because that's what Rogue Squadron was, and they for a while ran Rogue Squadron and Battlefront side by side, and Battlefront sold better. So I think they know what they're doing in not putting in space battles. Just because a bunch of people say they want it doesn't mean they actually do. What they want is a fun Star Wars game, and I think they can deliver on it.
But it's just so hard, Aaron, when you see these days, when you see so many games like Call of Duty and other games that actually provide a multiplayer that's fleshed out and a campaign that's 6 to 10 hours long.
No, the campaign is
but hold on.
Total crap in those games. You cannot call them a campaign. They are there just so that they can say they are there. There is no thought process put into them. They are complete garbage.
Well, no, DICE's efforts in most recent Battlefields, now those are even worse. I'll give you that. But then there's also games like No Man's Sky, which, as you've seen from the trailers and as we witnessed.
Another game I care absolutely nothing about.
But a lot of people do. And I know PlayStation, if it
people
does come out.
People are interested in it, but no one thinks it's going to do what it's supposed to do. They're too ambitious.
But the combat concept, as far as from you going from the ground, as far as be able to do that and engage in the environment there, then automatically jump into a ship and go into space. There's going to be comparisons that I think are drawn from it, but I can see, as far as I guess the maximum is a 40 player arena. I understand that there's limitations to this. I'm just concerned, like I said, it's from the aspect, I think a Star Wars game with a very solid campaign, and also for me, space battles would have been a nice little touch. And actually, I would have looked forward to it even more than the Battlefront game that's being presented. I will still play it.
I think the exact opposite. I think that putting space battles in would absolutely ruin the game. Yeah, they've done them well, but the space battles in any game, I've never seen one where it just absolutely blew my mind. But their ground combat, there's no one that can do it as well as them in a fantasy setting like that. It just is very, very so much leaps and bounds beyond anything else. So they need to take what they are good at and just make it better. If they want to make a second series and have all the campaign and the space battles, do that. But don't ruin Battlefront because that's what people want. That's what most companies do, is they cave to the public, and that's when the game tanks and they start, going the way of THQ and Working Designs and some of those other companies that, were around and everybody knew who they were in the 90s. And now if you ask a 20-year-old, nobody knows their name anymore.
This is probably true. This is very true. Well, if that's the case, but still, a lot of people are going to be looking forward to it. I understand it's getting a lot of interest, and obviously the movie that's coming right after it.
But a lot of
is
people
going to-
had a lot of interest in Enter the Matrix as well. And the Enter the Matrix did exactly what everybody wanted it to do.
No, it didn't.
But it was bad. Well, it did everything it said it was going to do and what people asked for. They didn't realize until after that is not what they wanted to be able to hack. They wanted to be able to do the things that you did in the game. They just didn't do it very well.
And if that's the case, it's when it comes out in November, mid-November this year, we'll have to take a close look at it. We'll obviously provide our thoughts on the game itself, and hopefully, if we can get Chris and Corey out of whatever planet they'll be on, most likely Hoth, we'll be able to get their thoughts as well, or Nick's or Sam or anyone else, because I know Sam will. Seventh Valkyrie, I know, will definitely be interested in Star Wars Battlefront coming up.
Oh, I think everybody will be interested in it, whether they want to play it or not. I think that's going to be one of those games that we can watch and just be like, oh, wow, that looks amazing. That's one of those genres that even somebody like me who is very, very picky about what they play is going to enjoy, the lead up to that game and all of the hoopla around it.
This is true. One also, Just Cause 3 actually was introduced earlier today, as far as from a standpoint of the gameplay. And if you're familiar with the Just Cause series, for me, it's been a lot of fun to play. And so I have high hopes for the game when it comes out, supposedly, later this year. What are your thoughts? Did you get a chance to see the gameplay trailer earlier today?
Don't care.
All right, fair enough.
You know what games I'm going to die.
Well, Etrian Mystery Dungeon, I understand that, of hardcore 3DS.
Well, that was okay. It's the new Shin Megami Tensei game that's really good.
Yes.
Etrian Mystery Dungeon was so. Record Breaker's freaking amazing.
That's good. That's good.
But I mean that that I'm not a fan of the AAA games, so yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure on Just Cause 3 because that's something that at the time when Just Cause 2.
I don't know if you have Twitch up, but people are asking your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's the movie.
Five Nights at Freddy's the movie. My thoughts on it?
Yes.
Well, since you guys are into scary stuff, Five Nights at Freddy's, I don't know. You elaborate more on it because it sounds like something that
I didn't even know there was a movie. I knew of the game. I didn't even know there was a movie.
Well, Five Nights.
I just somebody asked, so I thought I'd bring it up because,
Well, we appreciate. First off, we appreciate the question. Five Nights at Freddy's the movie. No, I don't think you and I have seen it yet. The games, obviously, we have, and they have their own charm and their own niche. But even games like Slender, the Slender series that has come out, it just for me it does not. I don't get that jump real easily. It's and it's really hard after playing games for so many years to get that startle, to get that jump, because something's going to pop out yet, or something's right behind you. There's just not so there's only so many variations that you can throw at an experienced gamer and get that kind of satisfaction. Not that we aren't looking for it, and we're not trying to be arrogant when we say we're playing. We're ready to handle it all, but it's just very hard for these games to for players that are now, because the average gamer's in their 30s these days, and they've seen it all. It's just very hard for them to sustain any type of scares throughout for these developers, and it's a hard task. It's much easier if they go the action route. Do you agree? Disagree? Simply because it's just so hard to scare people for a consistent base in time.
I think on a AAA title or even an A title, I will completely agree. To have someone scared from start to finish for multiple hours is going to be nearly impossible. And I'm the type of person who gets scared in Bambi, so I don't even play these games because, I get scared super easily. I mean, I get scared in PG-13 movies a lot. But my understanding of Five Nights at Freddy's was, and most of the horror games that are doing really well on PC and Steam is that, they're 15 minutes. The entire game is 15 minutes. Some of them go up to an hour. And it's more a race against the clock in a lot of them. I mean, I've seen some of them that are monsters coming at you every second. But I've seen a lot of them where it's, you're almost like in the movie Saw, and you've got, X amount of time to get out, and you have to do all these steps. And every time you fail, you learn more, and the next room puts even more pressure on you, and things build up from there. So I think if they do a movie and it has that just fast-paced, in-your-face horror feel the way that genre, the good games of that genre, the indie ones,
Yeah.
I think that movie could be really fun and something that horror fans could really latch onto and have a following. But I even horror movies, trying to do a 2-hour horror movie, even an hour and a half on some of them, there's always that dead spot in the middle that it doesn't have that Eye of the Hurricane feel. It has the, okay, let's hurry up and get on with the next thing.
And you were saying Five Nights at Freddy's 5? Because they're Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is still coming out in Halloween.
Yeah, that's what I meant was.
That's why I was so puzzled in the beginning. I was like, Five Nights at Freddy's 5? That's okay.
I went dyslexic when reading the Twitch message. I went a little dyslexic there.
But we do appreciate the question. And like I said, even the Slender series for me, which for many has provided a scare or two, is just I want something more, and it's very hard once you've been playing games for so long. If you get used to it, it's just hard. You a little jump, a little scare, but then you're expecting it, and to sustain that over a long period of time, it's kind of hard and difficult indeed for developers. So my appreciation goes out to them and the hard work that they do. And hopefully that we can have a game that even experienced gamers and non-experienced gamers and you who get scared at Bambi can all like and get scared on. So hopefully very soon. We talked about Just Cause 3, which you don't even care about, which I care about, which I have high hopes for. I think it's going to be a nice, solid title. I think it's good. Just Cause 2 was just awesome. Pardon the pun there. But Ubisoft really has something that they are looking forward to, and if it's coming out in 2015, that will really help them out, because who knows what's going to come out with, going to happen with the Assassin's Creed title. It's going to come out. Maybe that's going to be delayed. Maybe the Division might be delayed. Maybe Rainbow Six Siege might be delayed. So it's nice to know that Just Cause 3 is going to be an Ubisoft title that they're really looking forward to. Not really. I have not touched that one, so I apologize if that one that's a little bit.
We can put it on the list for next time.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's what we'll do. We'll put it on the list and see if we can get a sampling of it, so we can talk more about it, because that's a great question indeed, and I do appreciate that question being thrown out at us.
Yes, thank you. Like a Boss 333, he's also saying that Just Cause looks sick in his opinion. So
yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure like him or her that you like to get, as far as it's concerned, get into a jet, see if you can try or swing whatever vehicle, the largest thing you can find, and just play. It's just a fun game for me. I'm sorry it's not your cup of tea, Aaron, but it is just truly a fun game indeed. And I look forward to Just Cause 3 as one of the highlights of the holiday season. Arkham Knight, more news came out as far as it's concerned today. As far as the dual play issue is concerned, it's not a co-op per se, but it's kind of like a swapping of characters. I don't know what to make of it. I just know Batman Arkham Knight is still going to be very well done. I still think it's going to, when it comes out in June, it's still going to be a monster hit for
One of the
Warner
best
Brothers.
games of the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, whatever they try to throw into it that you can play as Catwoman for a brief here, for Nightwing that you can play as, or Robin that you can play as, that you can alternate and swap out, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, Rocksteady, you get some slack for whatever you want to do, because those first two Batman games were very well done. And I just, this is the ending coup de grace for them in the Batman series. They're going to go on and move on to different things, and I look forward to Batman Arkham Knight when it comes out in June. And as you said, one of the best games of summer, no doubt will be. Even a half attempt at the game from them will be very well done indeed. But a game that I really want to talk about, and I haven't posted to you yet, but could the game of the year, because we talked about the game of the summer, one of the games of summer, but could the game of the year be coming out in May with The Witcher 3? I've seen already a couple hours of the game through various different press releases and videos and things of that nature. Just truly looks like a fascinating world. Just going throughout the entire, huge area that I've seen as far as maps of. And I just can't wait to go into that world and explore it and be able to fight all the monsters, fight all the different individuals that you're going to come across in the game. And what are your thoughts on The Witcher 3? Don't tell me you don't care about this one, because definitely this could be the game of the year.
I don't care. No, I'm kidding. I think
it's 200 hours of your life that's going to be sucked out if you try to play it, I'm going to tell you.
Yes, I do think the game is going to be, from the amount of content I've seen, it's going to be good. I just think the problem for that game is we're 8 months removed from Dragon Age, and that was game of the year last year, pretty much everywhere between that and Shadows of Mordor, one of those two games. And while there are some major differences, I don't think they're the same game. But I think to the casual gamer, they're going to be the same style of game. And a lot of people who are only going to get, say, they're 4 years a game or 4 games a year. This
would definitely be one of them. This would definitely be one of them.
I think it'll be one they get at the holiday. I don't think it'll be one they get over the summer.
Why not? Why don't you think? Because the marketing, they're being helped and supported with Warner Brothers on this. So it definitely is something.
Because if I have a choice between games this summer, and I am a casual gamer who doesn't pre-order, who doesn't go to IGN and GameSpot and follow Day 9 and some of those people on Twitter and Twitch and all those other things, I'm not going to know enough about The Witcher to pick that over Batman. I'm going to pick Batman. There are very few games that I'm not going to that I'm going to take over Batman.
Well, then you should follow us here.
Batman is going to take enough of the pie from The Witcher that it isn't going to have the launch that everybody thinks it's going to have. Do I think it'll probably outsell Batman? Yes. Do I think it'll be one of the better games of the year? Yes. But I don't think it's going to be the games that if we went into a, not that you or I are going to, but if, we were on a, high school outside before class started, that it's going to be the game people are talking about. I think there's going to be so many other popular games that people are going to be talking about that a series like The Witcher, which most people never even heard of, I don't see it being a game of the year.
I'm not saying it's from a
winner.
sales standpoint. I think it's going to be a strong sales.
I think it'll do strong sales, and I think the critics will love it. But I do not think that it'll end up getting Game of the Year, because a lot of times Game of the Year is more what is popular, what are people talking about, and I just don't think The Witcher is a big enough series or making a big enough splash to get there compared to other stuff.
I kind of disagree with you. I think it's going to do very well off the get-go. I don't think it's going to outsell Batman early on. Like you said, I think it's going to get a lot of traction towards the end of the year. Like you said as well, I agree with you on that end. I think the summer still belongs to Batman on them, but I think that when the Game of the Year awards comes around, it's going to possibly garner a lot of favor and a lot of awards. I think a lot of people, a lot of entities, a lot of publications, including ours, GameSource on Facebook, yourgamesource.com, of course. We're going to remember it fondly, and I think it's going to be remembered by a lot of other publications strongly, and that will help boost its sales even more come the end of this year. I think it's truly a Game of the Year candidate, even without looking at the entire game as a whole. I know I can't. How can I say that? It just has that feeling, has that mojo. Same with that Nick and I had talked about before Shadow of Mordor came out, another Warner Brothers help title. Now, Warner Brothers isn't obviously producing this themselves. They're obviously just help distributing it and obviously help advertising it. So hopefully their love in this case will help people get really interested and get to know The Witcher. And from what I've seen and from what I've been on interviews, what I've seen on both video and written format, the developers have said that you do not need to play Witcher 1 and 2 in order to understand what's going on in Witcher 3. And that, to me, is probably a great compliment indeed, and also takes a lot of weight off me being intimidated by what's going on early on in the game. Your thoughts as well? I had to take a deep breath on that one.
I'm interacting with people on Twitch and wasn't listening to you.
All right, moving on.
I'm kind of good at that one.
Yes, The Witcher 3. It's coming out in May. People, you need to look for it. You need to watch out for it. We're at GameSource at Facebook. We're going to try and provide a lot of coverage as well for this game, and I truly think that people who get a chance to delve into that world are going to deeply be fond of it once they get into that world.
Yeah. People who get it and are into that genre are gonna love the game. I definitely agree with that. I don't think it's going to have the appeal that so many other games this year are going to have, because if you look at the summer and fall, there's so many games that haven't had something of that caliber come out in couple of years, and The Witcher just had Dragon Age Inquisition. And if I'm only getting a couple of games a year, I think I'm going to set The Witcher down until it hits the $20 bin, instead of paying the $60 and then the inevitable $40 for the season pass and whatnot. So I just think it's going to be one of those games that you wait for the Game of the Year edition on after it wins some awards.
Well, I do know that they're going to provide a ton of free DLC. I'm sure there probably will be some paid DLC, but they have stated that they're going to provide a lot of free DLC to players.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing. Keep your community interested. Even if they do put the extremely good stuff behind paid DLC, it's still good to have some free DLC every once in a while.
Fair enough. And we will be just take a break for a couple seconds because for the audio portion of this podcast, which will be on our website, yourgamesource.com. If you are watching it and need to hear the rest of this podcast, just for a sec, because we're going to break into the Roundtable of Doom coming right up. And we're back. It is time for the Roundtable of Doom. That was fast, right?
Yeah.
Yep. The magic of video and audio once this gets into post-production. And today's topic is going to be on the Roundtable of Doom. It's going to be the controversy in regards to, the Heroes of the Dorm special that was recently put on ESPN2, which you were all over, by the way, on your DVR.
Oh
Kind of.
yeah, I
Kind of.
like the moment it popped up on my DVR, I set it to tape, and knowing that it's a live sporting event, with air quotes, I set it to tape an extra half hour past because, I mean, that's what sports do. They always go over. So, I was thrilled for it. Sadly, I was at work. I really wanted to go out there. Trixler, one of the commentators, is one of my really good friends. And so I really wanted to go and be out there, but I was working Sunday and just could not make the drive because that's 4.5, 5 hours for us one way.
Yes.
For even if I was there, a couple hours before and a couple hours after it, it's a 10-hour round trip, 15 hours total. I needed the day off and Monday off. So it would have been a little tight for me. And so sadly I couldn't make it. But, as soon as I got home from work, I turned it on, started watching. It was Arizona State University versus, California at Berkeley. And it just, oh my God, it was amazing. And I mean, I play the game a lot, and as people who watch me stream know, I'm not the greatest at the game. I have fun playing the game. The community is not yet as toxic as some of the other high tier MOBAs, and my chair is trying to fall out from me. But, the community isn't quite toxic. But, I love playing the game. And so I came home and watched it and watched the commentary and, watched Day 9 and Artosis, Grubby and Trixler and whoever the heck that host was, who, she was the host. She showed up at the beginning. She showed up at the end. So I really wasn't paying attention to her because we saw her like 3 times throughout. But I mean, it was really good. It was a best of 5 series. And these guys are playing for their college tuition, even though I think most of them make enough money playing either StarCraft 2, League of Legends, or this professionally that their college was covered anyway. But Blizzard is going to cover, their college for the rest of their careers, which is kind of awesome. But, best of 5 series, and it went to the 5th game. Arizona State had only lost 1 game the entire tournament. Cal Berkeley hadn't lost any going into the finals, so you knew it was going to be good, and it went to 5. I'm not going to spoil it as to who won, but that 5th game was crazy.
But I want to talk
absolutely crazy. And there was a controversy, yes, and that's what you want to talk about, right?
Yeah, because I'm going to start off with this. The actual overnight ratings for it weren't the greatest. 96,000 viewers at 0.1, which is, even for ESPN2, those were not good ratings. I want to delve into that.
They average about 200,000.
And that's true. But we want to go off, why did ESPN show it in the first place? Because they actually previously showed the League of Legends World Championships that garnered...
No, they didn't. They showed Dota 2.
Dota 2. I'm sorry, the $1 million championships. You're correct. And
yeah, but they didn't show them live.
No,
and they didn't show the actual gameplay. They only showed the commentary leading up to it. They didn't actually show gameplay. So this was the first time that it had been live gameplay.
But still, the ratings were off the charts compared to some of the other things that they've done, and they also have shown League of Legends actually on the channel.
ESPN 3.
Yes.
They've never shown it on 1 or 2. This was the first time that it's been live. They've shown some like after the fact stuff, like highlights, but they've never shown it live like this, where they dedicated an entire block to it.
But the point I'm trying to make is it was watched. It was watched. 27 million people actually watched the finals in Seoul. 23.5 million people were watching it. Almost within a very short period of time afterwards. So those were huge and monstrous ratings. So obviously, ESPN, they kind of go out of the box, especially with ESPN2 because it's their second channel of one of their many channels. But they kind of go out of the box. They show the spelling bees. They show cheerleading championships. They've shown pro wrestling in the past. They've shown, obviously when the poker was really hot. They still do show poker, but when poker tournaments were really hot, they were really, really spending a lot of time with them as well. So ESPN does have a tendency to go outside the box. This is where it comes in. I was actually listening in the morning to the actual live broadcast as it was happening. Colin Cowherd, which is a nationally one of their national hosts for their network programs over the radio. It does the morning show for them. A little bit bombastic. Is very opinionated. Has said similar things that what was said in the morning about other things such as pro wrestling, and I know he's gotten the ire of pro wrestling fans everywhere from time to time with his comments. But he chose his radio show to speak against ever covering video games as far as from a aspect, and if he ever had to, he would quit ESPN. I don't think those comments were the ones that really got everybody mad, but when he started going off as far as pigeonholing and stereotyping the individuals themselves as far as coming from mom's bedroom and whatnot, which he has done before. Yeah, the basement cracks and things of that nature, which he has done before in reference to pro wrestling. I know that has really gotten the ire from time to time. That's just who he is. That's his shtick. That's what he's done in the past. He knows exactly when he says those things, he's going to get a little bit of a crowd that's going to have an issue with it. But it brings up a more valid point, which I've seen on the internet, including opinion articles and the like. With the ratings that are still out, that were shown, that were done on the overnight, and also the comments that were made from a national basis by someone who does hold the weight with a lot of audience, a larger audience out there. What are your thoughts on actually seeing video games get over to a larger audience, to a broader audience? Because gamers are very they're supportive of one another, and obviously within that collective, we're going to watch as far as is concerned what is being produced. But from a generalistic standpoint, it's really hard for a lot of individuals, including myself, to see that get over, because just a lot of people will not be able to take it seriously. I think it's very sad. I think it's very disappointing that they won't broaden their horizons to do so. But to me, at this point in time, I just see it as a fact. Your thoughts on that?
First, I'd like to comment more on what he said. A lot of people that I talked to, that were there at the event and whatnot, he made a comment after one of the commentators said that one of the plays that Arizona State made, which the guy totally missed on the play. And there's no doubt that the guy misses the play. And the commentator says something along the lines of, this would be like if a basketball player went to dunk the ball and didn't have control of the ball.
That's correct. He did play that
Which,
clip.
To me, made sense. I watch other sports. I watch esports. And so the clip made sense to me.
And when you're on that medium and you might have an audience that's not familiar with your product, you're trying to get that over and explain it. And I thought that was a very good analogy.
Yeah. But his comment to that was, he liked Donkey Kong back in the day, but that this was like putting a gun in his mouth and pulling the trigger, which to me is suicide. I mean, that's what he's saying. So he's publicly saying that suicide is better than esports. Well, and I think that is really what pissed people off in the community, is that why would you say, go ahead and bash gamers. We know we're going to get the you live in the basement, you live in the attic, you're 40-year-olds living at home. We know we're going to get that. It's the stereotype. But to say that suicide is the better option over having it on ESPN or him commentating on it is altogether just stupid. And I think that is what people, at least that I have talked to, are really grasping onto. And I do want to say some of the guys on ESPN today on what was it, on Around the Horn, that's their competitive talk show.
Yes.
And the guy who won spent his 30 seconds of FaceTime saying how absolutely amazed he was with Heroes of the Dorm. And that, he brought up that Amazon bought Twitch for $1 billion, which is worth more than his network.
But I will say this: it's my compliments go out to ESPN and their parent company Disney for doing something like this, for showing this, for going outside the box. People, it's just showing that they will have variety, that they're willing to do something as far as to get people to tune in and to get a new audience, and I give them compliments for that. Do I like what those things that were said? I didn't like them the morning he said them. Like I said, I listened to it live. I knew he was going to get a lot of flack for it. He has said things in the past that he knows he's going to get flack for it. That's part of his gimmick as far as it's concerned. He does have Rush Limbaugh type tendencies. That's just who he is. He thinks it will garner. Controversy gets listeners. As far as
it hit viral because of it, and people now know who he is, and people may go watch him. And I think he would have still got all of that without the mention of the suicide. To me, that was just a step too far for me.
And like I said, for me as well, I think it was in poor taste. But unfortunately, when you're someone in that ilk who thinks he needs to go that far and step over those boundaries, like I said, this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time he's gone after a niche. Like I said, I'm an unabashed pro wrestling fan. He has gone out of his way to go after individuals who do like it, and also the actual individual sports entertainment entity himself. He's done this for years on that, and then I saw as soon as I listened to what he was saying as far as video games, I didn't expect. I just kept driving, and I was not surprised. I was not shocked.
No, I wasn't surprised by anything other than that one comment, and I knew there were going to be people that said things like that. I knew there were going to be Twitter reactions along those lines. I just didn't expect someone who's basically employed by that company to say he'd rather commit suicide than watch their programming.
Well, obviously ESPN hasn't.
I'm in shock ESPN hasn't done anything,
He would have apologized today, and he did not. He would have been, because he's heading here to Las Vegas to cover the fight over the next few days. He was not reprimanded. Obviously, ESPN doesn't think it's that big of a deal. He was never really.
Quite a few of the programs today mentioned how big esports were and that they are the wave of the future. So, while I don't think they flat out reprimanded him, I do think they had a lot of their younger guys, because he's older than you are, which is old because I'm old. But, he's part of the old guard. And a lot of the newer guys, a lot of the newer faces that have shown up in the last 5 or 10 years, they were all saying, esports is the wave of the future. We are going to see this alongside our normal sports. And I do like that they were saying those things, I guess.
And I do as well. And like I said, I'm not trying to disparage as far as esports is concerned. I want it to succeed. Obviously, as somebody who has covered the video game industry now for several years, I want the video game industry to succeed by leaps and bounds. And obviously, seeing the huge success on Twitch for coverage of certain championships and certain games from all over. And seeing the interest, we've gone to trade shows, you and I, with thousands of people that are there. PlayStation Experience, that's right there. GameStop conventions. We've gone to E3. I've gone to E3. I've gone to CES. Where the gaming section are, people just flocking into that section of the area. We've gone in Level Up Expo. There is a marketplace that has grown beyond a niche, and I believe that if properly supported, it can go to a much more popular and wider format. But can it go full on mainstream? I hope so. I certainly do. But as long as there's going to be individual skeptics like Mr. Cowherd out there that are going to make it extremely difficult and make every effort to put down esports as an entity, the challenge is going to get a lot tougher before it gets any easier. Do you agree?
Yeah. I do not think that, this time next year we're going to be seeing, weekly esports tournaments. I think it's going to take a while. I think they're probably going to wait 6 months, throw something new up.
ESPN will, but I think some channel might approach a weekly format.
Yeah. Oh God, who was it? G4 Tech TV or whatever they are now. I don't even know. Spike might even pick something up.
What are they,
The
Esquire
Sci-Fi
now?
Channel. I have no clue what any of them are anymore. They keep changing their name. But yeah, Esquire Network for Men or something, and they dropped most of the gaming stuff, so they're probably out. But Sci-Fi, it would not surprise me if Sci-Fi picked something up and called it part of their reality series.
Or a smaller network, Destination America, other entities out there,
absolutely.
Bravo, A&E would be, we've seen, it creeping into the social network and the social atmosphere of our society as far as gaming is concerned, and become more and more, news entities, news outlets seem to be reporting more as far as when the Call of Duties and the GTAs achieve levels of success as a entertainment entity that not even movies have achieved, and it's great to see, and it's great to see that it's starting to creep into our society more and more, and people are actually becoming a little bit more open-minded about it. But as long as, and you said it perfectly, the old guard still is there, as long as the old guard is still in important and key places within our media and within our industry, as far as the television industry, as far as it's concerned, the esports genre as a whole has still got a long way to go.
Absolutely. I think right now esports is going to be pretty much online, mostly, like 98% online. Every once in a while we might see some TV stuff. I know MLG has tried some stuff in previous years, but it was never a game on caliber with where League or Heroes of the Storm or Dota or even Minecraft or things like that. I mean, this was like 10 years ago when StarCraft Brood War was the biggest for almost 15 years before anything else really started to take over.
Do you ever see it becoming as popular? Do you ever see it becoming as popular here in North America or Europe?
Yes,
as it does, on the Far East, because you've seen the ratings,
absolutely.
Korea just, as far as South Korea is concerned,
in 10 years,
network television.
In 10 years, my generation, which grew up in the 80s and the 90s with video games, we're going to be in our 40s, 50s, and we're going to be the people who are in charge of that programming. And I think people are finally going to see that's the way to go. I think it'll get more popular because I can't go out and play football every day if I'm in certain areas of the country. Whereas if I've got a computer or a video game system and an internet connection, I can play every day. I just see that it's going to be easier to get into, the whatever the big esport is at the time compared to football or some of the other sports. I think the barrier of entry is going to be much lower, and so people are going to be able to do, those sort of games. You don't have to travel to events until you get really good. Whereas, how many travel soccer teams are there? And, they're just, you watch them and they're not that good. There's so many travel baseball leagues and the players are just not that good, but, it's more of a pay to play than a let me get really good at my sport type thing. And I just think it's going to be easier to get kids to go, oh, I can play a video game and make money on it. Let me do that, rather than try and say, I'm 5'6". I want to go play basketball. I want to go play football. You know, it doesn't matter your build in computer games. It's yeah, there is some genetics in it. You know, the faster you can click, things like that. But in general, you can get good at video games in almost any body type. So people are going to be able to relate to the nerdy guy on the screen instead of, you know, not everybody's going to look like LeBron James or Peyton Manning. You know, it's going to appeal to the everyday person a lot more than sports do, because sports you're cheering for, and yeah, I might go out and play in the backyard with my friends. But if I really want to play computer games well, I can. I can go out and put the time and effort into it from the comfort of my own room and do things. So I think eventually, I mean, TV's going the way of the dinosaur anyway, and internet's going to be where everything is. So, I mean, if in 10 years, you know, ESPN doesn't matter unless they change, you know, I think Twitch, or whatever the newest version of Twitch in 10 years is, will be where everything is, and the money will be going here instead of to TV channels and sports TV. So if they don't get a piece of the pie now, they're not going to have a chance later, and they could be absolutely irrelevant as people spend more and more money on gaming and gaming paraphernalia and things of that nature. And I could be absolutely biased in this opinion because I really want this to do well. But I mean, I think we can see with how many streaming platforms are out there, how many different leagues are out there for the games, how many of the games are making over $1 billion a month, some of them in 3 days, that, you know, this sort of thing is probably going to be here to stay for the long run. Whereas traditional sports, their attendance numbers have been, in general, either staying flat or going down. So that's just my thoughts and hopes on it.
Well, I hope that does come to fruition. I hope what you are hoping for does definitely come into fruition for all of us here at Game Source and all the gamers out there. I'm sure that they would be excited for that future as well. And thank you to ESPN for dipping your toes into the water, into the e-gaming scene, and hopefully more esports will come soon enough to our TV screens in the near future. So before we leave, I just wanted to ask, you know, the Avenger is coming out, this little movie that was made, you know, that's actually about a lot of superheroes and whatnot. And I was hoping we could have some more staff tonight, but they all seem to be preoccupied with streaming and other glorious details. But seeing how the Avengers is coming out this weekend, if you were an Avenger, who would you be?
Probably Hawkeye. I've always had a fascination with bows and arrows. You know, Diablo, I always played the Archer and then the Amazon and then the Demon Hunter. Heroes of the Storm, Vala was my first character, mainly because I got her permanently free with by owning Diablo 3, but you know, I've just always had a fascination with bows and arrows. At Boy Scout camp, I always loved shooting at the target. One of the few people who ever took that seriously for while we were there. I like that he's, at least in the movie universe, pretty much just a really good bow and arrow shooter. Yeah, there's some tech in there and whatnot, but it's not like, you know, he had mutant powers or he goes out and buys a power suit, things of that nature. He's kind of, you know, something that if I were absolutely crazy and wanted to put my life in danger, he'd be the superhero I could be, rather than, the other ones just seem a bit more unrealistic. I'm not going to get the serum that Captain America had, or hopefully not get exposed to gamma radiation or any of that. Hawkeye is kind of like something is almost in the realm of possibilities. I mean, that tech, still going to take money, but it's not going to take the trillions of dollars that being Iron Man would take. It seems more like something that technically could happen to someone.
Fair enough.
Who would you be?
I'd say Hawkeye as well, because for a
You
lot of those
can't
same
steal my answer.
For a lot of those same reasons, but also the fact that I just saw with my wife and my kids Marvel Ultimate Experience Live here in Las Vegas. It was actually a pretty cool show for the kids, and just seeing what Hawkeye's place is in the Avengers. Obviously, you want him to get more love. Told that he's going to get more love in this film. Hope so, indeed, because everybody wants to say that Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, whatever, with Thor, yeah. But but like I said, Hawkeye's really cool. I think I can hang with that as well. It's shooting those bows and arrows. You get mad at me from far. I'm just stand away, and you say good, mean comment. There you go, right there in a nutshell. Or Nick, right there, get him with a.
Don't give me ideas. Don't give our viewers ideas either.
Fair enough. And one last thing I want to... Is there a topic that you want to discuss before we head on up? Because I've got something, but before I say it, I want you to say it. What's on your mind before we head on out?
Heroes of the Dorm was the big one, and I had a request as soon as we got here to talk about the pandas, because when I stream I play one of the pandas, and so they are definitely my favorite character in the game. And Blizzard needs to add the panda cub from World of Warcraft, the pet in that game, as a playable character in this, with the exact same skill set it has in pet battles. That would just be ridiculous. But geez, my topic, probably just the how amazing portable gaming is for me right now, with the 3DS and Atlas and Nintendo both putting out a ton of great RPGs compared to what any of the other consoles have right now on the RPG front. I mean, you've got like one or two decent games a year on the consoles, but pretty much there's 8 games this year, I think, for the 3DS that are really decent or better. So that's kind of my comment. I don't think we need to talk about it, because I know that's not going to be of interest to everyone, but that's my 2 cents for the stream.
And my 2 cents to go on that is I've been going to be covering a lot of games in the near future, as far as the Weaponographist, as far as Fire. I Am Bread. I'm going to have a lot of reviews and whatnot coming up, including a documentary that was sent over to us. I'll be probably providing a review for that as well in the near future. But the one thing I want to talk about that I've got coming up is if you didn't get a chance to see it, it's on our YouTube channel. It's an interview I conducted with the director of Nintendo Quest, Missing Mom, and also as the upcoming the upcoming Kitty biopic. I want to say that 10 times fast. His name is Rob McCallum, and I really truly appreciate him taking the time to sit down and talk to me. I'm going to be doing a larger article that I'm going to be putting on the site yourgamesource.com sometime early next week, which is going to detail as far as what our conversation, a little bit more about Rob himself. If you didn't get a chance to watch it on our YouTube channel, it's a good watch. It's all about what he has in mind. And if you haven't had a chance to find out what Nintendo Quest, which is the search for all the North American collection of Nintendo Entertainment Software.
Official collection.
Yes, official collection of the NES games, which is almost 700 games. Obviously not stadium events, stuff like that, but all the ones that can be attainable. With him and his friend Jay taking up the challenge, with no means of trying to get online at bidding or whatnot. It's them actually scouring the country for all these games, and the work that's gone into it by Rob, the great detail. It's a great movie, and he's actually going to be showing it across the country. He's got screenings that are coming out all through the summer. And if you are interested, check out the NES Club, as far as it's concerned, on their Facebook page, or type in Nintendo Quest on the search on the Facebook page, and you'll get to see exactly where it's playing. We will be actually hosting a Q&A after they're showing their screening here at UNLV on the 28th of June, if I'm not mistaken. So we're looking forward to doing that, being a part of that. He just, like I said, I'm going to have an article coming up next week on Rob himself. Really happy that he got a chance to that I got a chance to sit down and talk to him. I wish him the best on all of his projects. And if you get a chance to see it, please stop by our Game Source YouTube page, because it's really a great interview. And I really appreciate him taking the time down to sit and talk with us. And we're just look forward to it. Your thoughts on Nintendo Quest? I mean, you've seen bits and pieces of it already.
I've seen quite a bit of it, and I've gotten access to things I can't talk about. So I have to be very careful about what I say. But I really like the story of, somebody of, our generation who grew up right at the start of what's considered the modern console era with the NES. And the memories that you and I are going to have from that, and somebody going, we were all of us as kids were like, I want every game possible. And then we hit like 12 years old and realized, yeah, that's never going to happen. And then Jay, as this 30-year-old, gets dared by his best friend Rob to go and do it. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, sure. And Rob's like, oh, and since I'm a documentary maker, we're going to go ahead and document the whole trip. Okay. Oh, yeah, you only have 30 days to do it on top of it, just to make it a little more fun. But it's cool to see somebody going out there and fulfilling a dream that all of us had as kids from my generation.
If you don't get to be able to go to one of the actual screenings later on this year, it is being put out on home video
on the 30th anniversary of the launch of the NES.
So definitely look out for that. We're really happy for him, and also both him and Jay on what they're accomplishing. And that's a big task. Like you said, it's 30 days. They had to do a lot of footage. They had to pick and choose exactly who what
scenes were in, what celebrities they put. And I mean,
the interviews that they did, yeah, absolutely.
Billy Mitchell, they were discussing cutting Billy Mitchell, who, like, anybody who's a gamer who's going to go, okay, who is going to be a celebrity from the 80s? Unfortunately, from King of Kong, or what was it, Fistful? I don't even remember what it was called anymore. But everybody knows him from that.
King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that one. Everybody's going to remember him from that. The guys from Twin Galaxies. I mean, they got their own Twin Galaxies card. That's how big the classic community is in on this, that they have their own card from the people who do world records of video games. I mean, that's just insane. They actually help the Guinness Book of World Records when they put out their annual book. They have interviews from people who hold like 15 records, and they're considered small time and are getting cut. I was there when they interviewed Tommy Talrico, who does Video Games Live, who did video game music from the mid-'80s. They interview him in this, and I can't wait to see the final cut of who gets in and who doesn't get in. And it's just, The guys are amazing. They also have their own podcast, and they're really fun to listen to. So, I mean, just getting to watch them for however long the final cut of the movie is, it's something to look forward to, especially if you are into the history of our passion here, video games.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be it's going to be a feel-good story, and him going and getting, or disappointment story if he doesn't get it. I do not know the answer, though I do have some guesses from talking to him. But it's going to have a little bit of that feel-good, try-hard story, and a little bit of the history of, not the history of games. There's I think at the beginning it's the history of video games in 60 seconds. And that's all the history they go into. But actually seeing the people who created that history, and I think that's going to be really cool to see, and it's something everybody should go and watch. I know they're going to Cleveland twice, and that's where my family's from, so I'm kind of thinking I want to go to a second one and possibly get to go see that, beyond just the Vegas show, which I'm definitely going to. If I have to steal tickets from someone, I'm going. But
you're going with us, so
yeah. Rob invited me over just about a year ago, so I'm not too worried. But I'm going to go. If I have to steal tickets from a baby, I'm going.
But we're going to be recording a podcast there from the actual event, and then obviously he did ask. He was very kind of him to ask us to host the Q&A. And I'm really looking forward to it. Really excited about it, and obviously
I'll finally get to meet Jay. I've talked to Jay online, but I've never shook his hand. It's just one of those. That's going to be awesome. I finally get to meet Jay after all this hype because I remember the Kickstarter almost. It might have been over 2 years ago now, because I want to say they shot in summer of 2013. So we're looking at 2 years ago from the Kickstarter to now. So, it's just exciting to get to meet somebody who's hitting his lifelong dream.
Absolutely. Most definitely indeed. And we're definitely looking forward to it. And if you stay tuned to Game Source on Facebook, we'll definitely provide you with many updates, but also as well the NES Club and Nintendo Quest on their Facebook channels. You can take a look, and they have all the latest updates as well. We're definitely looking forward to the project indeed.
We share most of their updates, so if you follow us, you can just click one of those to follow them.
And speaking of following us, that is right. The Game Source Facebook page, and also the @GameSource on Twitter. You follow or like either one or both of those, and you will get our constant updates from around the video game world. We've posted, I think, over 36,000 articles as far as pertaining to the video game industry. Plus, we've provided hundreds of reviews, hundreds of videos, hours and hours of podcasts on our own, as far as it's concerned. Through our at yourgamesource.com, www.yourgamesource.com website, and then also our Game Source on YouTube. I did mention @GameSource on Twitter. Game_source on Twitch, which follows a lot of the action that you, Chris, Corey, and myself do a lot of, as far as, and Nick every now and then, Jamie now and then as well. Even Sam on as far as they're following their action too, as far as from a streaming standpoint, all the games that we play on there as well. And if you have any questions, just give us an email to info@yourgamesource.com. Also, as well, if you're interested in becoming a part of the staff and writing for us, we're always looking for people, as far as it's concerned, who love video games like we do. That's, again, info@yourgamesource.com.
And while we are talking about all of our social media stuff, we are also running a contest. If you're watching this before May, what day is it? Whatever Sunday is, May the 3rd. For Heroes of the Storm beta keys, all you have to do is share the post from our Facebook page, share the post from our Twitter page, follow us on Twitch while I am streaming Heroes of the Storm. You also need to shout it out that you're doing so, because otherwise I'm not going to notice on Twitch. Or send us a review of a video game. We don't have to post it on the site if you don't want it. But if you do, we will be more than happy to post it on the site. Do not steal it. we're going to take one person from each of those 4 ways and give them a code. And then I'm going to give away a 5th code for anybody else who didn't win one of the first 4. So you can't win 2, but pretty much you're going to have 2 chances to win. So definitely, if you want to play Heroes of the Storm, share our posts, and you'll be entered to win.
And if you missed it for any reason, we're going to have it on our YouTube page. When you're watching this video, it'll be on the lower part of the screen. When I go into editing and we have the official podcast video up, but I'll also try to put in the comments of this taping as well. And if you see fit, because we're always looking at trying increasing our production values here and trying to make this a better experience for everybody. If you see on our Twitch channel, we do have the Twitch feed and also the Patreon accounts. If you decide to make a donation of any amount, it's greatly appreciated from both myself, Aaron, and everybody on our staff at GameSource.
Absolutely,
because we need to increase our production values. We'd like to try as well to,
also,
if you have any
ideas,
and the websites. Oh, go ahead.
If you have any ideas about what we should discuss on the show, like the Leica Boss 333 wants us to talk about Subnautica. Neither Gerald or I know anything about it. We're going to look it up. That's going to be on our next podcast. So if you have any ideas, no matter how remote they are, let us know, and we will look into it and discuss it, even if it's just like, yeah, we're not going to discuss this. It's garbage. We don't know until you tell us.
Definitely looking at that indeed.
I have no problem saying that Just Cause 3 is garbage to me because I don't care. So if there's something you want us to talk about, let us know. If you want to join us, let us know. Also, let us know when a good time for you is. Because if we've got somebody who wants to talk, we will be more than happy to talk with them. Just let us know what you want to talk about, how long you have to talk, so that we can, set up a pseudo schedule. Because as you can see, we change things on the fly here. I tried to avoid that just 3 topic as much as possible. But yeah, if you want us to talk about something, if you want to talk with us, let us know. We'll be more than happy to do it. And if you're lucky, you can get either of the female Sams in on your podcast, and that always makes things better. And I'm going to get slapped in the face for saying that.
Yes, you probably will. Shake my head. Anyway, so that does it for me. Gerald, better known as Yes Levels Lives, and
this is Aaron, OSU Water Polo, and we are here with your GameSource.com. And thank you to everyone in Twitch who was commenting, giving us ideas as we went along. Interdeviant, the Leica Boss 333, and some others who I banned because they were spamming. But thank you for spamming our Twitch chat room anyway.
It's greatly appreciated, I think.
Yeah, but
we do love No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that is it for us here from your GameSource.com and the rest of the GameSource staff.
All right. Thanks again for everyone out there for listening.
Have a great day, midday, afternoon, night, whatever time of day it is for you.
There you go. And the MP3 will also be on this yourgamesource.com website on our podcast page as well. Want to make sure everybody knows. And thanks again. Much appreciated. And have yourself a great day.
Do you love games, breathe games, and bleed games? Then this is the crew for you. If you are interested in editorial, podcasting, live events, and exclusive content, make sure to hit us up at info@yourgamesource.com and become part of a team that is dedicated to delivering all the greatest and latest in gaming news and content, all here at yourgamesource.com.